Hi, it's Maria from Still Dreaming Homestead. Glad you're with me tonight. We're going to continue reading in our book, Farmer Boy by Laura Ingalls Wilder. We're already on chapter 7. If you've missed any of the other chapters, go back to the playlist and you can start at the beginning. So today's chapter is called Saturday Night. And here is the picture. And we'll have to figure out what that means. It's a stool, three-legged stool, and a pail. I think I know what it's about. All right, that night was Saturday night. All day long, Mother had been baking, and when Amanza went into the kitchen for the milk pails, she was still frying donuts. The place was full of their hot brown smell, and the weedy smell of the new bread, the spicy smell of the cakes, and the syrupy smell of the pies. Amanzo took the biggest donut from the pan and bit off its crisp end. Mother was rolling out the golden dough, slashing it into long strips, rolling and doubling and twisting the strips. Her fingers flew, you could hardly see them. The strips seemed to twist themselves under her hands and then to leap into the big copper kettle of swirling hot fat. Plump, they went to the bottom, sending up bubbles. Then quickly they came popping up to float and slowly swell till they rolled themselves over, their pale golden backs going into the fat and their plump brown bellies rising out of it. They rolled over, Mother said, because they were twisted. Some women made the newfangled shape round with a hole in the middle, but round donuts wouldn't turn themselves over. Mother didn't have time to waste turning donuts. It's quicker just to twist them. Amanzo liked baking day, but he didn't like Saturday night. On Saturday night, there was no cozy evening by the heater with apples and popcorn and cider. Saturday night was bath night. Now, back then, because it was hard to bring water into your house and stuff, they only would bathe one day a week usually. Now, I like to bathe every day. After supper, Amanzo and Royal again put on their coats and caps and mufflers and mittens. They carried the tub from the wash tub outdoors to the rainwater barrel. Everything was ghostly with snow. The stars were frosty in the sky, and only the little faint light came from the candle in the kitchen. The inside of the rain barrel was coated thick with ice, and in the center, where the ice was chopped every day to keep the barrel from bursting, the hole had grown smaller and smaller. Royal chopped at it, and when his hatchet went through the oozy thud, the water welled up quickly because the ice was squeezing it from all sides. It's odd that water swells when it freezes. Everything else gets smaller. Amanzo began dripping water and floating pieces of ice into the wash tub. It was cold, slow work, dipping through a small hole, and he had an idea. Long icicles hung from the kitchen eaves. At the top, they were a solid piece of ice. Then their pointed tips hung down almost all the way to the snow. Those were really long. Amanzo took hold of one and jerked, but only the tip broke off. The hatchet had frozen to the porch floor where Royal had laid it, but Amanzo tugged it loose. He lifted it up with both hands and hit the icicles. An avalanche of ice came down with a splintering crash. It was a glorious noise. "Hi, give me," Royal said, but Amanzo hit the icicles again. The noise was louder than before. "You're bigger than I be. You hit him with your fists," Amanzo said. So Royal hit the icicles with both his fists. Amanzo hit them again with the hatchet. The noise was immense. Amanzo yelled and Royal yelled, and they hit more and more icicles. Big pieces of ice were flying all over the porch floor, and flying pieces pitted the snow. Along the eaves there was a gap as though the roof had lost some of its teeth. Mother flung the kitchen door open. "Mercy on us!" she cried. "Royal, Amanzo, you be hurt?" "No, Mother," Amanzo said meekly. "What is it? What you be doing?" Amanzo felt guilty, but they had not really been playing when they were supposed to do work. "Getting ice for the bath water, Mother," he said. "My land! Such a racket I never heard. Must you yell like Comanches?" Now remember, this was a long time ago, and people were different then. And Comanches were an Indian tribe that I guess would be very loud when they were yelling. And so that was what Mother was talking about. Wasn't very nice, really. "No, Mother," Amanzo said. Mother's teeth chattered in the cold, and she shut the door. Amanzo and Royal silently picked up the fallen icicles and silently filled the tub. It was so heavy, they staggered when they carried it in. And Father had to lift it to the kitchen stove. The ice melted while Amanzo greased his moccasins and Royal greased his boots. In the pantry, Mother was filling the 6-quart pan with boiled beans, putting in onions and peppers and a piece of pork fat, and pouring scrolls of molasses over it. Molasses comes from the sorghum plant, and it is very sweet. It's also very brown. She flung rye flour and cornmeal into a big yellow crock and stirred in milk and eggs and things and poured the big baking pan full of yellow, gray, Ryan Injun dough. "You fetch the Ryan Injun, Amanzo, don't spill it," she said. She snatched up the pan of beans, and Amanzo followed more slowly with the heavy pan of Ryan Injun. Father opened the big doors of the oven in the heater, and Mother slid the beans and the bread inside. They would slowly bake there till Sunday dinner time. Amanzo was left alone in the kitchen to take his bath. His clean underwear was hanging on the chair back to air and warm. The washcloth and towel and a small wooden pannikin of soft soap were on the chair. He brought another wash tub from the woodshed and put it on the floor in front of the open oven door. He took off his waist. I'm going to have to look that up. I think that might mean some sort of shirt. And one pair of socks, then his pants. Then he dipped some water from the tub on the stove into the tub on the floor. He took off his other pair of socks and his underwear, and his bare skin felt good in the heat of the oven. He toasted in the heat for a while, and he thought he might just put on his clean underwear and not take a bath at all. But Mother would look when he went, but Mother would look when he went into the dining room. So he slipped into the water, covered his feet, and this is the picture of what he looked like getting ready. Can you see all the stuff that they needed? Here's the big pail of water and the wash tub, and on this chair is the pannikin, and the pannikin had the soap, and here's the wood stove with the hot water. Does your bathtub look like that? Mine doesn't either. Lost my place. With his fingers, he dug some of the brown, slimy, soft soap from the pannikin and smeared it on the washcloth. Then he scrubbed himself all over. The water was warm around his toes, but it felt cold on his body. His wet belly steamed in the heat from the oven, but his wet back shivered, and when he turned around, his bare back seemed to blister, but his front was very cold. So it was cold from the air in front of him, but the wood stove, remember, was in the back. So he washed as quickly as he could, and he dried himself and got into his warm underwaist and long woolly drawers and put on his long woolen nightshirt. Then he remembered his ears. He took the washcloth again and scrubbed his ears and the back of his neck. He put on his nightcap. He felt very clean and good, and his skin felt sleek in the fresh, warm clothes. It was a Saturday night feeling. It was pleasant, but Almanzo didn't like it well enough to take a bath for it. If he could have his way, he wouldn't take a bath until spring. He did not have to empty his tub because if he went outdoors after taking a bath, he would catch a cold. Alice would empty the tub and wash it before she bathed in it. Then Elijah Jane would empty Alice's, and Royal would empty Eliza Jane's, and Mother would empty Royal's. Late in the night, Father would empty Mother's and take his bath, and the next morning he would empty the tub for the last time. Almanzo went into the dining room in his clean, creamy white underwear and socks and nightshirt and cap. Mother looked at him, and he went to be inspected. She laid down her knitting, and she looked at the back of his ears and the back of his neck, and she looked at his soapy clean face, and she gave him a hug and a squeeze. There, now you run along to bed. He lighted a candle and padded quickly up the cold stairs and blew out the candle and jumped into the soft, cold, feathered bed. He began to say his prayers, but he went to sleep before he finished them. You know what? That has happened to me too when I've been meaning to pray and fall asleep while I'm praying, but I guess God understands that. So that was a big night, and he had to go to bed early. Do you think you would like to take a bath just once a week? I don't. That's very smelly. But then again, I have water that runs in my house, so it's much easier. Well, it's Maria from Steel Dreaming Homestead. If you haven't yet, please subscribe and press the like button. Also, the best way you can help me is by sharing my videos. That way other people can get to hear these stories too, and my channel can grow. So I want to pray blessing on you and yours, in your house and out of your house, in the day and the night. And whatever you do, keep dreaming.